All right, everyone, buckle up, because today we are diving headfirst into one of the most volatile situations out there right now.
Definitely volatile.
We're talking about the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran.
Yeah,
And if you're anything like us, your head's probably spinning from all the headlines.
100%.
So, on today's deep dive, we're going to break it all down.
We are.
What's actually going on?
Right.
What's at stake?
Right.
And what should you be paying attention to in this crazy game of geopolitical chess?
Absolutely.
We've got some juicy insider knowledge from the Washington Post, reports about promises made by Netanyahu,
Okay.
and of course, you can't forget about the U.S. election looming in the background just to spice things up even more.
Right, because this isn't just some far-off regional conflict, this has global implications.
Totally.
And these U.S. elections definitely add another layer of, another layer of pressure.
Yeah. It's like one wrong move.
Oh,
The
yeah.
whole thing could just explode.
Eh.
Like, we all remember those crazy gas prices last year.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to see that again.
No. So let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Iran launched those missiles.
Yeah.
Tensions are off the charts. And Israel's itching for a fight. They made it pretty clear that retaliation is coming. But it's not as easy as just, firing back, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, you've got Israel. They're facing this immense pressure from their own people, from the
Yeah.
West to respond. But nobody, and I mean nobody, wants a full-blown war. Everyone's throwing around that phrase regional explosion, and with good reason.
Huh?
If this thing spirals, the consequences are going to be catastrophic. We're talking oil prices through the roof,
Oh, my God.
possibly dragging Hezbollah and who knows who else into the mix. It's a powder keg, really.
It really sounds like it. And when you say catastrophic consequences, like, what does that actually mean for, people like us just, like, trying to live our lives here?
Well, for starters, say goodbye to cheap gas.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Think pricier flights, more expensive groceries. Pretty much everything gets hit. It's a ripple effect that'll drain everyone's wallet.
It's crazy.
And then there's the very real possibility of this conflict spreading even further, maybe even dragging in global superpowers.
It's a lot. And I feel like Biden especially is, like, in a really tight spot. Like, he's got to have Israel's back right. They're a key ally. But starting a war weeks before an election, I mean, that's brutal.
You hit the nail on the head. Biden is walking a tightrope right now. He's going to tread very carefully. He's urging Israel to be careful, telling them to stick to military targets only,
Right.
avoid civilian casualties as much as possible, but, let's be real, promising restraint in the heat of the moment. It's a lot easier said than done.
Especially with another election looming
Mm-hmm.
in Israel this time.
Oh, right. That's right.
We're hearing that Netanyahu, he's facing his own re-election bid,
Mm,
and he might be a little more inclined to, flex his muscles, regardless of what he's promised Biden.
right.
Like, it almost seems like both of their hands are tied.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how these internal political pressures end up having such a huge impact on international relations?
It's like this whole other layer to the situation.
It really is. It's like this hidden layer of complexity. And honestly, it makes predicting the next move almost impossible.
Totally. So, with so much on the line, what should our listeners be paying attention to over the next few days? What are the red flags or maybe the green flags? What should we be watching for?
I'd say, first and foremost, keep an eye out for any unusual Israeli military activity, troop movements, deployments, anything out of the ordinary.
Right.
That's usually a telltale sign that something's brewing. Secondly, pay attention to the rhetoric coming out of Iran. Are they escalating their threats? Has their tone changed? Any shifts could be significant.
Okay.
And lastly, keep an eye on those global oil prices. If you see a sudden, unexplained spike, that's often a bad sign that things are deteriorating.
It's like we're all holding our breath, waiting to see what happens next. This has honestly been incredibly eye-opening.
Absolutely.
To really, dive into this complex situation.
It's a complex one for sure.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind? Something that really stood out to you?
This whole situation is a perfect example of how messy geopolitics can be, especially when you throw in domestic politics and personal ambitions.
Totally.
There are no easy answers here, that's for sure. And the next few days are going to be crucial in determining whether this crisis escalates or whether those simmering tensions just simmer a little longer.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you so much for walking us through this. It's been a wild ride.
Anytime.
And to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us for another deep dive. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in uncertain times like these.
That's right.
Until next time, stay curious, and keep exploring.